2 days ago, Chelsea did something they have not done in years. They got a transfer right. Xabi Alonso, the man who took a club second from bottom in the Bundesliga and turned them into invincibles. The man who built one of the most tactically sophisticated teams in modern European football. The most sought-after coach on the planet, signed a 4-year contract at Stamford Bridge, starting July 1, 2026. Now the questions start. Because Chelsea are 9th in the Premier League. They have spent $1.8 billion on players since Blueco took over in 2022. They have burned through 4 managers in 4 years. Potter, Pochettino, Maresca, Rosignol, and the football has ranged from average to embarrassing. So the real question is not whether Xabi Alonso is a great coach. He clearly is. The question is whether his system, the system that made Leverkusen invincible, can actually work in the chaos of Chelsea Football Club. That is what we are going to find out today.
Who is Xabi Alonso, the player who became a coach? Before we get into the tactics and the Chelsea question, you need to understand who this man is. Because his playing career is not just impressive, it is the direct foundation of everything he does as a manager. Xabi Alonso, full name Xabi Alonso Olano, was born on November 25, 1981, in Tolosa, in the Basque country of Spain. He came from a footballing family. His father, Perico Alonso, was a professional footballer who played for Real Sociedad and Barcelona. Football was not just a passion, it was an inheritance. As a player, Alonso was the definition of a midfield general. Composed, intelligent, technically immaculate, and capable of passing a ball over 60 yards with the same accuracy most players manage at 6. He won the Champions League with Liverpool in 2005, scoring in that incredible comeback final against AC Milan. He then won it again with Real Madrid in 2014. In between, he was at the heart of the greatest international team in football history. The Spain side that won Euro 2008, the 2010 World Cup, and Euro 2012. Back to back to back. 3 major international trophies in 4 years. He ended his playing career at Bayern Munich in 2017, having absorbed the tactical thinking of Pep Guardiola, Carlo Ancelotti, Zinedine Zidane, and Vicente Del Bosque. 4 of the greatest coaching minds the sport has ever produced. When he finally retired and turned to management, he was not starting from scratch. He was downloading 2 decades of elite football thinking into a coaching career. That foundation matters enormously.
The coaching journey, from Real Sociedad B to Invincibles. Alonso started his managerial career quietly. He coached Real Madrid's under-14s first, learning the foundational principles of coaching from the ground up. Then he spent 3 years with Real Sociedad's B team in the Spanish 3rd tier, developing his ideas in relative obscurity. Then came the moment that defined everything. In October 2022, with Bayer Leverkusen sitting second from bottom of the Bundesliga, dysfunctional, uninspired, and going nowhere, the club turned to the 41-year-old first-time top-flight manager. It was a genuine gamble. What followed was one of the greatest coaching turnarounds in modern football history. In his first partial season, Alonso stabilized the club and got them back into Europe. But his second full season, 2023-24, is what the football world will be talking about for decades. Leverkusen went the entire Bundesliga season unbeaten. Not just unbeaten, they set a new European record of 51 consecutive matches without defeat across all competitions. They won the Bundesliga. They won the DFB Pokal, a domestic double, unbeaten. Germany's first ever invincible season. They were not the biggest club. They were not the wealthiest. They did not have the most expensive squad. What they had was a system, a philosophy, a way of playing that was so coherent, so well drilled, and so difficult to break down that teams simply could not find a way through them. Alonso had taken the principles he absorbed from the greatest coaches in the world, fused them with his own ideas,
and produced something entirely his own. The football world sat up and paid attention.
The system. How Alonso actually plays. Now this is the section where we get into the details, because understanding Alonso's system is the key to understanding whether it works at Chelsea. On paper, Alonso sets up in a 3-4-2-1. 3 center backs, 2 wing backs, a double pivot in midfield, 2 number 10s behind a striker. But that shape on the team sheet is just a starting point. What actually happens on the pitch is far more fluid. In possession, the shape morphs into a 3-2-5. The 3 center backs stay back. The double pivot drops to join them and build up, forming a stable base. And then 5 players push high and wide. The 2 wingbacks essentially become wingers. The 2 number 10s push into dangerous central areas, and the striker holds the line. The result is an attacking shape that stretches the opposition defense horizontally, creates overloads in wide areas, and opens up enormous space centrally for the playmakers to operate. The wingbacks are not traditional defenders. They are one of the most important attacking weapons in the entire system. At Leverkusen, Jeremy Frimpong and Alejandro Grimaldo were not just defenders who could go forward. They were essentially wingers who occasionally defended. They provided width, created overloads, cut inside, crossed, and arrived late into the box. Without them, the system does not function. Out of possession, Alonso plays a high and aggressive press. When the opponent has the ball, the trigger is immediate. A horizontal pass, a receiver under pressure, backwards ball, and the team swarms. In 2022-23, Leverkusen averaged just 3.5 ball recoveries in the final third per game. By 2023-24, they led the entire Bundesliga with 6.6 per game. That improvement was not accidental. It was drilled, rehearsed, and executed with precision. Real Madrid. What went wrong? Now, we need to address the elephant in the room. Because between Leverkusen and Chelsea, Alonso had a spell at Real Madrid, and it ended in failure. He was appointed as Carlo Ancelotti's successor at the Bernabeu ahead of the 2025-26 season, and he lasted just 7 months before being fired in January 2026. So what went wrong? The problem started almost immediately. ESPN reported that 3 of Madrid's biggest stars, Vinicius Jr., Jude Bellingham, and Federico Valverde, never fully bought into Alonso's methods. Vinicius in particular had a relationship with Alonso that deteriorated within weeks. When Alonso substituted him during a Clásico against Barcelona, the fallout was significant. And crucially, the club did not back their manager publicly. Instead, they questioned his decision-making behind the scenes. That dynamic, a coach without the full support of the club's power structure and unable to get through to the superstar players, is exactly what derailed his Madrid tenure. It is also very similar to what happened at Chelsea under previous managers, but here is the important distinction. At Real Madrid, Alonso inherited an established culture of superstar autonomy, a dressing room where players have historically had enormous power. At Chelsea, he is arriving with an explicit mandate to build the culture from scratch, having reportedly secured assurances over transfer authority and structural control that previous Chelsea managers never received. The failure at Madrid does not define him. The context does.
Can his system work at Chelsea? The squad analysis. So, can the Leverkusen system actually work at Stamford Bridge? Let us go through the squad and be honest about what fits and what does not.
The wingbacks are the most critical position in Alonso's system. At Leverkusen, Frimpong and Grimaldo were irreplaceable. At Chelsea, Malo Gusto on the right and Marc Cucurella on the left are both capable of playing as wingbacks. Gusto has the athleticism and attacking instinct. Cucurella has intelligence and versatility. Neither is as elite as Frimpong or Grimaldo, but both are workable. Reece James, if he can stay fit, would be exceptional in this system on the right. The double pivot, the 2 deep midfielders who anchor the shape, is where Chelsea get very interesting. Enzo Fernández and Moisés Caicedo are arguably the perfect pair for this role. Caicedo is relentless, physical, and brilliant at ball recovery. Fernández has the technical quality, passing range to circulate possession intelligently. That midfield partnership in Alonso's system could be one of the best in the Premier League. Cole Palmer. This is the fascinating one. Analysts and journalists who have studied this extensively are drawing a direct comparison between Palmer and Florian Wirtz, the attacking genius who made Alonso's Leverkusen system sing. Wirtz operated in the number 10 space, receiving in pockets between the lines, turning and driving at defenders. That is precisely what Palmer does at his best. If Palmer buys into the system and Alonso can unlock him again, that partnership could be extraordinary. Levi Colwill is the kind of technically gifted, ball-playing center back that Alonso builds his back three around. Young Estevao, Brazilian, quick, creative, is reportedly tailor-made for the inside forward role. João Pedro is described as the ideal linking number 9 for Alonso's style of play. On paper, 8 of Alonso's first 11 are already at the club. That is a remarkable starting point for a new manager. The concerns. Why it might not work. But let us be honest, because blind optimism does not serve anyone. The back three question is real. Alonso's system requires 3 technically capable center backs who are comfortable in possession and brave in a high line. Chelsea's current center back options are thin. Reports already indicate Alonso wants 2 new center backs in his first transfer window. Until those arrive, the defensive foundation of the system is fragile. The Enzo Fernández situation needs resolving urgently. His future at the club is uncertain, with Real Madrid circling. If Fernández leaves, the ideal double pivot partner for Caicedo walks out the door before Alonso has even had his first training session. That would be a serious blow. Then there is the Chelsea ownership problem. Blueco have burned through 4 managers in 4 years, often because the manager eventually clashed with the board over transfers and control. Alonso has reportedly secured assurances. He was appointed as manager, not head coach, a distinction that signals more authority. But those assurances mean nothing if the relationship deteriorates as it has with every previous appointment. The history of this club under its current owners demands skepticism. And finally, the back three in the Premier League. Ruben Amorim tried it at Manchester United. It did not work. Alonso's system is more sophisticated than Amorim's, and the players at Chelsea are better suited to it. But the Premier League's physicality and pace puts unique pressure on a high defensive line. It is not a guaranteed fit. Hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, do you think Alonso is the right man for Chelsea? And can they challenge for the Premier League title in 2026-27? Let us talk. See you in the next one.